Poppin', yo, welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another film review. Today we're taking a look at Quiet Place, day one, because it is October, so we are taking a look at a couple of spooky movies. It is spooky month, so we're taking a look at some spooky things, some very spooky dooky things, and, we're gonna be spookying, spooky dooky, taking a look at a couple of horror movies. I have one coming up planned in the next couple of days, which is Mousetrap, the new Mickey Mouse horror movie. So for all of October, we're taking a look at most horror movies, disaster movies, scary, suspenseful movies. So if you want to see that, if you're excited for that, press the subscribe button, the notification bell, so then you can stick around and get all my lovely, sweet, succulent videos posted straight into your inbox and ready for a nice, delectable meal time, because I know you watch these when you eat your food. So, without any further delay, let's get into what Google has to say with The Quiet Place Day 1. It is 1 hour and 39 minutes, how long a movie should be. A regular old runtime of an hour and a half, and it is a horror sci-fi that came out in 2024. It does have a rating of 15, has a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon. So, when New York City comes under attack from alien invasion, a woman and other survivors try to find their way to safety. They soon learn they must remain absolutely silent as the mysterious creatures are drawn to the slightest sound. So, how the story actually goes is our main character is in a care home because she has cancer, and they go on a field trip to watch a puppet show in New York, central New York, and she gets bribed with pizza. And you know what? I would probably get bribed with pizza. I get bribed with like Monster and 20 quid when people want to swap rides with me. So, you know, I'm open to a little bit of bribery. The old-fashioned saying, how it goes is, I'm not gay, but 20 quid is 20 quid, Everybody's got a price, and this girl's price is pizza. So, they end up going, and, shit gets real quick, and, everyone's like, oh shit, get back to the bus, we gotta skedaddle, we gotta go, we gotta, like, away from here. And, unfortunately, that plan doesn't actually go into fruition, because our main girl gets knocked out. She wakes up in the theater, again, which she fell asleep in the fucking first place because the puppet show was that fucking boring, and she is told to shut the fuck up because monsters are coming. She then decides she doesn't want to stay in the theater. Everyone's evacuating to go to the boats because these aliens can't swim. Their one weakness is water. So everyone's flooding to these boats, running through the streets. The monsters are attacking them and picking them off because obviously they're traveling in a huge pack, so there's obviously going to be quite a bit of noise. And she's heading in the opposite direction. She meets Joseph Quinn, who moved here from England. They have a cat. He spends the rest of the movie chasing this fucking cat to bring it back to this girl, because this girl keeps losing her fucking cat. It's like an emotional support cat. And they end up getting the pizza, which is like 4 days old, cold, disgusting, moldy old pizza. It's very fucking stale. It's 4 days old. And then they decide to get Joseph Quinn to a boat. So they give him the cat, and she becomes a distraction to get him to safety. She then kills herself to the monsters. Joseph Quinn gets to safety. He keeps the cat safe, and that's where the movie ends, with her dying, listening to some pretty badass music, which takes you to the movie, which takes you to the credits, and that, song continues to play. I'm gonna be honest, this story was quite shit. It wasn't like the other two Quiet Place movies. It is cool to see how the sort of aliens first come about, but I feel like the story could have been better. Her entire motivation was just pizza. Like, their entire motivation was just, let's go get pizza. Joseph Quinn just followed her for no apparent reason. Like, there was no reason ever given for why he decides to follow her. I have a fucking clue. He just like, tags along for the ride when he really doesn't need to, and he's putting himself at risk and himself in danger, following her to get her this pizza. They develop like lovey-dovey feelings for each other, and you do see like their characters sort of grow and develop and sort of interact a lot more and grow feelings for each other, which I genuinely didn't care about. I came to see monsters and murder and a lot of chaos. And my friend watched this before me, and he told me not to watch this because it was boring, and you didn't get to see the monsters that much because it was all quite smoky and ashy. And I kind of get that. I get why they made it very smoky, very ashy, hid all the monsters behind the ash and the smoke, because A, it leads to suspense, with like, ooh, we not be able to see the monsters are coming, but you can't see them. And then it also adds to the mystery of what the monster actually is, even though you've seen it in The Quiet Place 1 and 2. And then it also has a little bit of saving costs on the CGI, setting that budget a little bit back a little bit by not having to animate the monsters all the time, not having to CGI them in. However, they do show up quite a bit, not as often as I would have liked, and they make up these bullshit rules with like, oh, if we scream at the same time of lightning, the monsters won't hear us. If we scream at the same time as like the rain, the monsters won't hear us. Bitch, they have like supersonic hearing. They can hear shit from like a mile away. They can hear a glass crunch. They can hear a shirt tearing from like 3 blocks away. They're gonna hear where you're screaming from and come and slap you. But oh no, that the movie didn't allow that. The movie made plot holes and plot twists so they could get their anger and emotions out through screaming when there was thunder. It is a really, I don't know, the movie's set in New York, so the set design is pretty cool. It's like a busy city, bustling city. They obviously wanted to get that contrast with how busy New York is to how quiet a quiet place is. But there was still loads of people alive and running about and yapping throughout the entire movie. Like, we met so many new characters, even towards the end of the movie. So it's like, I don't get, like, how the role stayed so quiet. Like, you make noise anyway. Like, just walking around, your footsteps make noise. You breathing makes noise. I don't get how these creatures don't hear the breathing or hear the breath. Like, when their hearing is supposed to be that good, they can't hear them breathing when they're face to face with them. There are times, like, Joseph Quinn and other characters were, like, face to face with these monsters, and they were breathing and, like, obviously trying to breathe shallow. And when I'm trying to breathe lightly and breathe quieter, because I'm very self-conscious about how I breathe, especially when making videos, because I don't want my like breathing to be too loud. So I always try and make my breathing quieter, but in doing that, my brain's like, oh shit, try and breathe quiet. I end up breathing louder, and like how are these guys controlling their breath so fucking well that these creatures A, don't feel it on their face when they're face to face with them, and 2, can't fucking hear it when they're click-clacking about. It is the monsters and the sounds, like the whole premise of this movie, and it just loses what The Quiet Place 1 and 2 did set up. This prequel didn't really have anything to offer. It just sort of exists now, and I was quite excited to see what this could do, what this could hold, what this could bring to the franchise, and it's nothing. It didn't add anything to the story at all. It didn't like give us a little bit of a more explanation to how the aliens got here. They came down in a meteor shower. We already knew that. We saw that in a flashback. Like, they came everywhere on the world, right? But for whatever fucking reason, this one thinks that they're just in New York. They're like stuck on Staten Island, I think it's called. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never been to New York, and I don't know much about New York. Other than that's where Spider-Man is from, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Other than that, my knowledge of New York is Big Green Lady. I don't know places and names, so I'm going to assume like the main island of New York is Staten Island. Could be wrong. Don't have a clue. But that's where everyone was, and that's where the whole movie was set. So I feel like the movie sort of had the threat a little bit wrong, because not everyone was there. The CGI and the monsters, for the parts that we could see, was really good. The storytelling was where this movie fell, and the characters as well was where this movie fell. Joseph Quinn and all the other actors in this movie were amazing actors and actresses. They were all really good and played their parts well. Their characters were just shit. Like, who they were just shit. Like, they had no motive. They had no sort of backstory, no reason, no rhyme, no nothing like that. They just did. They just existed. And they don't even sort of come back into like later versions of like Quiet Place 1 and 2. Neither of these characters really did anything. I would have liked to see a Quiet Place Day 1 where it's the family that we took a look at the first two Quiet Place, how they built up their stuff, how they made that sand trail, how they managed to survive all of the chaos ensuing in the first place, how they managed to keep a baby quiet because that kid was like 3, 4. How did they manage to keep him quiet for so long? And how did they manage to do that without him understanding like playing that plane was bad, right? Playing that plane was bad. I don't get it. Like this movie could have been so good, it had so much potential. They just fumbled the bag like severely. They fumbled the bag with this one. And if they do make another Quiet Place movie, I am not looking forward to it. I am going to be honest. This was kind of a letdown. It wasn't even scary. It didn't even make me jump. It never had me on the edge of my seat. I just watched it with like a dead sort of stone heart, emotionless sort of like husk of a human just laying in bed watching this movie. There was no sort of emotion or feeling or connection that I felt to these characters. It was just it was kind of a letdown, and it does upset me a little bit. But other than that, let me know what other horror movies you do want me to review. What other disaster movies, scary movies you want me to do for October, and I hopefully will get around to all of them because I do love a good spooky movie. I do love a good scary movie. We have taken a look at a couple of other scary movies in the past couple of months, but it's October. It's spooky month. We have to do spooky movies. We have to do spooky shows, suspenseful and scary. And you know what? I'm hyped. I'm excited. I fucking love Halloween in October, so stay tuned. We're gonna have some banger videos coming in the next couple of days. Boo. Yeah, scared you. Should go quiet.